Hey guys, it is Wingy here and welcome to a brand new video. If I've said it once, then I've said it again and again, and I'm sure other people have as well. But superhero movies are kind of going through that phase at the minute where they are getting a bit stale. And I think what we're seeing is that some movies that are actually quite decent are kind of getting overlooked. For example, a movie like Doctor Strange, if that was released like 10 years ago, that would be incredible. But because it came out a couple of years ago, it just sort of falls amongst all the others. But that doesn't mean that there aren't great superhero movies out there and that have been released within the last few years. So here are my top 3 personal choices as to the best superhero movies ever made. Again, it's opinion based, as it always is, so if you don't agree, that's fine. I do think universally though that these movies are loved, so there is that. Also, this isn't in any order. Okay, so first and foremost, I'm gonna have to go with Logan. Blade Runner 2049 narrowly pipped this to be my favourite movie of 2017. It was like that close. Logan was a movie that really surprised me, and I don't know why. It was kind of obvious what it was doing from the trailers, but I suppose it surprised me that there was a comic book movie that came out where it felt like nothing we've had before. Now you can say the same thing about Deadpool, but when you look at Deadpool, it is still very much a comic book movie that follows a lot of tropes of the superhero genre. Yes, it does mock and parody them, but it still does them. Logan, however, does a different thing. There are no real superhero tropes in the movie. In fact, it explores characters in a way that I didn't think they would ever do it on the big screen. It's not a simple case of person we know, then they get powers, then they fight a villain, then everything's great and they get their man or woman at the end of the film. Nope, with this, what we get is a superhero who is just down and out, has literally nothing left to live for, is taking care of somebody else who's in an even worse condition than him, and pretty much he's just waiting to die. He's seen it all. He's had a life that is so long and torturous, I guess is the word, that he's gone through so much shit that he just thinks, and I think it's such an interesting dynamic on the take of a superhero movie, because when you see someone like Superman or someone like Spider-Man or Wolverine, you just think, well, they're indestructible, you know? Even though they do have their weaknesses, they're still a character that is going to come through in the end, right? Or with Logan, he dies. Spoiler, by the way. Shit. And you know, you see him come to terms with being an older guy. He isn't as capable as he once was. His healing factor slowed down. It physically hurts him to draw his claws out now. And whilst he is still in decent shape, like, you can tell that he is an older man. And when you have that opposite version of Wolverine as well, the clone of him, who is like the young prime Wolverine, I like the fact that Logan can't actually beat him. Every single time he comes up against this clone of him, he gets his ass kicked. And it's the thing that eventually kills him in the end. What I love as well is the introduction of X-23, and the main reason for this is because it sort of reminded me of Hit Girl. I love the fact that we have this little kid who shouldn't be capable of doing anything being an absolute badass. And I know that people are saying, myself included, that when it comes to recasting Wolverine, I don't think you should do that because Hugh Jackman nailed it. But I really want to see where X-23 is going to go. Obviously there's the deal now between Disney and Fox, so we don't know what they're actually going to do, if they are going to carry on her story or if we are going to get a different version of Wolverine. Personally, go with X-23. And the other thing in this movie as well is Professor X. He's probably the most heartbreaking thing to watch in this movie, as, you know, you just see him suffering with pretty much Alzheimer's. You know, you see glimpses of him as the old Professor X, but more often than not, he's getting confused, he doesn't know what's really going on. And I love the fact that we can see this character who is essentially the most powerful X-Man. Arguably, I know some people are going to argue that, but in the movies, that's the way it comes across. With his mental capacity, and he's so in control, and he's so calm and relaxed, to see him so disheveled and stressed, and just not, let alone in control of a situation, but in control of his own self. Logan was a really powerful movie, and it has got to be one of my favourite superhero movies that we have ever had, even though it was just released a year ago. Next up, I'm going to DC, and to my favourite movie of all time, which is The Dark Knight. Now, I remember when I watched this in the cinema, I was blown away. Batman Begins is a great film, don't get me wrong, and I do also like The Dark Knight Rises, but this is just something else. You don't even need to see the other two movies, you can just go into this. Now, this movie does something incredible, like Batman Begins did, but I think it does something that was damning in the long run. Because we have this gritty, realistic take of Batman, it's not he's got all these different incredible things that are just so comic booky and outlandish. It's very much a real world Batman. You can believe a lot of the stuff that he does and the stuff that he has would exist in real life. And I like that, and I think it works for Batman. But I think what studios thought in their mind was, oh, people really like gritty remakes. And yeah, we do, if it works for that character. I think they kind of did that with Spider-Man, and they tried it with a couple of other different characters as well. I will have to mark it down just because of what it did after. Not the film itself, I just mean the impact of the film. I say mark it down, but it's still my favourite movie. What am I on about? It's such a tightly written story. The action sequences are great in this movie. It's shot incredibly well. The cast are phenomenal. There isn't a weak link at all in this cast. I can literally be told all the different cast members and I can say, yeah, they did really, really good. Christian Bale as Batman. Apart from the voice, he nails it. I prefer him as Bruce Wayne, but he's still a very, very, very good Batman. Gary Oldman as Commissioner Gordon. I mean, Gary Oldman is just one of my favourite actors anyway, but I mean, he nails it as Jim Gordon. Michael Caine, that was a terrible impression. Michael Caine as Alfred is just brilliant. Now, he's one of those characters where he's not at the forefront of the movie, and rightly so, he shouldn't be. You do always want more Alfred though, that's the thing. He's one of those, he's just so lovable. You just want to see him more. However, he does have one of the best lines in this entire movie, which is the "some people just want to see the world burn." That's such a great cinema quote. The way the tension builds up in this movie as well is incredible. Now, it just keeps getting higher and higher and higher in terms of the stakes. But what I love about this movie is that it's not afraid to take its time. Now, I wouldn't say it's slow-paced by any means, but it doesn't rush in adding certain things to the movie, whether it's all these different mayors and people in charge get drugged and poisoned and blown up, whether Joker gets captured on purpose. Every little detail of the Joker's plan is meticulously planned, and you get that vibe, especially with the way that the film portrays it. And now, speaking of the Joker, because I know some people are going to be watching thinking, well, hang on, he listed off the cast members, why didn't he mention Heath Ledger? Is he alright? No, of course, Heath Ledger is easily the best, well, Heath Ledger's the best comic book villain or superhero movie villain that we've had, without a shadow of a doubt. Now, some people may argue this, and some people might say, well, because he died, his performance is overrated. People wouldn't be as keen on it if Heath Ledger was still with us. I flat out disagree. Fundamentally. Just because Heath Ledger is sadly no longer with us, or because time has passed, I still don't see any other villain who could top this. Think of all the superhero movies that we have had subsequently. Name one who's better than Heath Ledger's Joker. Yeah, that's what I thought. There's going to be a barrage of comments saying different characters, and if anyone says Loki, no, he's more of an anti-hero at this stage. The way that Heath Ledger just throws himself into this role is just incredible. Every single scene, you just want him again. You just want him more and more and more, and that's the one nitpick and gripe that I have with The Dark Knight. There isn't enough Joker. There's loads of Joker, but I still want more of him. But every single scene in this movie with the Joker, it's just some of the standout cinema ever. Whether it's the pencil scene, whether it's the bank scene, whether it's the scene where he goes into that party and he throws Rachel out the window, Heath Ledger is impeccable. It cannot be said more. He just was in this role. Now, this movie is something that I have to sit down and be in the mood for. It's not a film that I can just throw on, but then again, I could have said that for Logan as well. And personally, whilst I would like to enjoy a movie whenever, I think it's testament to the film that I want to give it the time and respect that it deserves, and I have to be in that zone to watch it, and I have to concentrate. It's not a simple case of people punching and people flying about and all that sort of stuff. There's a lot more to it. It's a lot deeper than that. And then for my third and final choice, I've got to say The Avengers, or Avengers Assemble. It depends. Now, this movie had so much hype around it, and did it deliver on it? Yeah, it did. Yeah, it really did. I wouldn't say that this is a perfect movie. I think the first half an hour is quite slow. I also would say that Hawkeye is really sort of underappreciated in this film, and they don't really do too much with him either. Having said that though, everything else is really, really good. The way that the team comes together and the dynamic of the team, where first of all they're fighting each other, then they're kind of getting on, then there's a big rift between them, and then they all come back to the end as well. It is predictable, and it is one of those things that you assume that was what they are going to do, but you can't deny that it works, and it's entertaining as hell, and that's what this movie is. The Dark Knight and Logan are brilliant films, yes, but I wouldn't really say that they are fun, or at least not fun in the same way that this movie is. It really lets out your inner child. That scene, whether it's Iron Man, Captain America and Thor in the forest having a fight, whether it's Hulk just smashing shit up in New York, whether it's Hulk just smashing Loki back and forth like that, whether it's seeing that big shot that annoyingly we already saw in the trailer, where the six of them are just stood there and the camera just pans around them. It's one of the greatest superhero shots we've ever seen in a film, and that's what you want from a comic book movie. You want it to be fun. You want it to be one of those movies where it doesn't matter about the plot, it doesn't matter if that bit could have been better, it doesn't matter if that wasn't quite right. You enjoy it for what it is, and yet you still have fun with it, and you can still say it is one of the greatest superhero movies ever made, because that is definitely what this is. And I know we had X-Men before, where that was a team of heroes, but this is the first time where you feel like yourself as a viewer earned it. You went to see Iron Man, you went to see The Incredible Hulk, you saw Iron Man 2, you saw Captain America the First Avenger, you saw Thor, and it all built up to this, and you honestly feel like after watching those other movies, which, let's be honest, do vary in quality, you watch those five, you come into this and you think, there's the payoff, I'm satisfied. Everything just comes together. It all assembles into place, you might say. Yeah, that wasn't a good joke, was it? However, I can't deny that Captain America's suit in this film is god-awful, so there is that. But I still have fun with it though. And also the humour really works in this film. That's something else that I forgot. I did say in my Star Wars video, the Last Jedi one, that it did feel like the humour in there was Marvel-esque and it didn't really work. Well, this is a Marvel movie and it really, really works. And it didn't do something as well that I was really worried it was going to. I honestly thought it was going to be Iron Man and friends. Because let's be honest, Iron Man is the most popular character in the MCU. Or at least at the time, he definitely was without question. In this movie, everybody gets the balance. Now Hawkeye is kind of left out, but everybody else, they do have a good balance there and a decent amount of screen time each. Iron Man has his moments, Hulk has his moments, Thor has his moments, they all do. So I really appreciate that. I do think that they lost the balance in Age of Ultron and I hope that they don't in Infinity War, but we'll have to see. However, this one, like I say, it gets it right. But those are just my 3 choices and my personal top 3 superhero movies in no order, and if you disagree, like I said at the start of this video, I don't care, and you shouldn't either. But in the comments below, let me know guys, what are your top 3 favourite superhero movies of all time, whether it's in the modern era or in like decades ago. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like on it, subscribe, share it around, all that good stuff, and if you did, I would love you forever. But till next time guys, you take care of yourselves, goodbye. I mean, this theme is just like